Greetings, friends. Mike Pachelli here. For this lesson, I'll be talking about the Beatles' recording of Norwegian Wood that they did in October of 1965. John Lennon began writing the song when he was on vacation in the Swiss Alps in January and February of 1965, and then he and Paul McCartney finished writing it at John's Kenwood home in early October. And about writing the song, John has said, "I was trying to write about an affair without letting my wife know I was writing about an affair, so it was very gobbledygook. I was sort of writing from my experiences, girls' flats, things like that. I was very careful and paranoid because I didn't want my wife, Cynthia, to know that there really was something going on outside the household. I'd always had some kind of affairs going, so I was trying to be sophisticated in writing about an affair, but in such a smokescreen way that you couldn't tell. I can't remember any specific woman it had to do with. I don't know how the hell I got to Norwegian Wood." Norwegian Wood is one of the first pop records to feature a sitar, and it was the first Beatles song on which George Harrison played the sitar on, although one was featured on the instrumental portions of the Help album back in August of '65 by composer Ken Thorne. George first saw a sitar during the filming of that Help movie in a restaurant scene back in April of '65 because some Indian musicians had one. And about the sitar, George said, "I went and bought a sitar from a little shop at the top of Oxford Street called India Craft. It was a real crummy quality one, actually, but I bought it and mucked about with it a bit. Anyway, we were at the point where we'd recorded the Norwegian Wood backing track and it needed something. We would usually start looking through the cupboard to see if we could come up with something, a new sound, and I picked the sitar up. It was just lying around. I hadn't really figured out what to do with it. It was quite spontaneous. I found the notes that played the lick, it fitted, and it worked." It actually took the Beatles 3 separate tries to get the version that we now enjoy. On October 12, '65, they're at EMI Studio 2, and they do one take of the rhythm track, and then they do overdubs with John double-tracking his vocal, Paul overdubbed the harmony, George overdubbed 2 sitar parts, Ringo did maracas and finger cymbals. But then on October 21st, they decide they don't like that version. They start all over again, and they do 2 takes, and this time they record everything live in the key of D, but they didn't like that one either. So then they do take 4, we're going to call it, and they decide to capo the guitars so that it's now in the key of E, or sounding in the key of E, with the musicianship being John Lennon on his Gibson J160E and singing vocals, George Harrison on the famous Hootenanny 12-string, Paul playing bass and singing the harmony, and Ringo on bass drum. Then they did the overdubs, which was George Harrison overdubbing all of his sitar parts, and Ringo overdubbed some knee slaps and also a tambourine part. And they mixed the song on October 25th. Norwegian Wood appeared on the Rubber Soul album in the UK on December 3rd, 1965, and in the USA on December 6th, 1965. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. John is playing his Gibson J160E on Norwegian Wood, and I've got a capo on the 2nd fret, so I'm going to call the chords like I'm in first position, but please know that they actually sound a whole step higher. So when I play a D like this, that's actually sounding E. So the capo becomes the nut. I hope you understand. I just think it's easier to see that way. Now, I think the Beatles would have considered this like in waltz time, 3/4 time. And you could write it out in 3/4 time, although you'll have a bazillion measures. And a lot of times you'll see it written out in 12/8, but I prefer to feel it in 6/8 because I think it's just easier to keep track of 6/8 notes per measure. Nevertheless, what's going on is he's basically playing off of that D chord and going into his Beatle D, I call it, when he put the F sharp with his pinky. And he's playing a melody around that. So he plays the D, so off the D it's... And then it would be C, like a G with a B bass, back to D. But there's a million little doodads in between what's happening here, and hopefully I'll be able to point most of them out. So most of the time when he plays the melody, he gets back to that Beatle D. But sometimes he doesn't. He gets back to an F sharp, a G, and a D. So sometimes it's, you hear that sound, like like in measure 5. And then there's a million little, like I say, doodads in between. My charts and tabs are very accurate to what he played, so if you want to know better than I can play it or say it, MikePachelli.com, you can download them. But the intro would be like this. 4, 5, 6. Now, hopefully, again, you heard in measure 5, he doesn't get to this Beatle D. You actually pick up your first finger and you hear. All right, then on the verse, well, I'll just play the verse. Here's the verse. First verse is like this. 4, 5, 6. Now in this measure here at the end, he's playing like a regular C chord. He goes measure the last 2 measures of the verse. It's like a C, and then he hammers on the D chord. He hammers on like so. Those last 2 measures. Let's see. Interesting, right? Getting that C now. And then we're to the first bridge. So for the bridge, you'll need these chords. A D minor played like this. You'll need a G. An E minor 7th. And an A. What's great is the way he accents that. It's difficult to get it perfectly, but I'll give it a try. So the bridge is, bridge 1, 4, 5, 6. And he lifts up on that going into the next chord. Now, only little, if you want to get it perfectly, on that first E minor 7th, he doesn't play the 7th. He plays just up to the B string. And then he makes it a 7th. All right. Then on verse 2, there's a couple little odd doodads. So the first part of it is easy. Here's the first part of verse 2 is like the second part of it, he does a few anomalies. Is that the right word? But he goes like this. He goes. Plays the top part of the D chord. Then on this, it's almost like he's playing a C6/9. He goes. Look at that. Let me do that second part again. All right, now when the sitar plays that melody twice, John does it a little different too. Let me see if I can get that right for you. During the sitar plays, John plays. Again with that kind of C6/9, it's not quite, just he's putting a 9th in it. On the second part of the sitar melody thing, he does some odd chords that he may or may not have intended to do, but very slowly he plays like this. He gets this chord. Like that. Then we're to the second bridge, and it's the same chords, just less accents this time. Second bridge is like this. 4, 5, 6. He doesn't play beat 6 of that time. And then he continues. And that's the first time you hear him play the open E on the A chord. And then we're to verse 3. On verse 3, there's nothing particularly odd. He plays like this. He goes, just noting again that major second sound on the C. But what's interesting is what he does on the very last four bars where they're playing out. He plays something that he doesn't do the rest of the song. He plays like this. He goes, See, he gets into this little chord like a on that second measure. Really beautiful. Again, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make that clearer than I could ever play it or say it, but that's John's part on Norwegian Wood. George Harrison is playing a Freimus 12-string hootenanny. It's actually pronounced Framus in German, but that's how we pronounce it in America. In any road, again, with a capo on the second fret, so I'll call out the chords, like in first position, because I think it's easier to understand. But when you play a D chord here, it's actually sounding a whole step higher, like an E chord. But few chords that he plays. He plays again, he uses that D chord. And on the bridge, the D minor. Second bridge, he puts an F on the bottom, but I'll talk about that later. A G like this. G also like this. E minor 7th. And an A. It's a workout to play this guitar. So any road, he starts on measure 5. John gets the first 4 measures by himself, and when George comes in, he plays like this. He goes 4, 5, 6. Simple single notes. Then on the verses, here's what he plays on verse 1. George goes 4, 5, 6. Okay, then into bridge 1. Now in bridge 1, he strums the first chords, then he plays very lightly on the other 3. So he plays like this. He goes 4, 5, 6. Pickup going into the verse 2. Then on verse 2, it's pretty much the same as verse 1, except he plays an E on measure 2. He goes like this. On verse 2, he plays 4, 5, 6. then comes this sitar part where he plays this 12 string along with the sitar, and on that part he goes like this: 4, 5, 6. Okay, now on bridge 2, the first D minor, he puts a low F on there too. He plays like this. He goes, but he quickly notices that his low F is really out of tune. Listen for that on the record. It's kind of funny. But he plays like this. He goes, Then he realizes that that F was out of tune, so he doesn't play it the second time. He goes back to this version. Same pickup. Then verse 3, nice and easy, like this. 4, 5, 6. Then he plays the melody on the way out, and there's one little extra 16th note. He goes 4, 5, 6. As usual, a perfect part by George Harrison on Norwegian Wood. If you'd like to know that exactly, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make it perfectly clear. I have put it together in a sound alike so you can see how both guitar parts work together. So please have a look at this.
Or should I say, she once had me. She showed me her room, isn't it good, Norwegian wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. Sat on a rug, biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. She worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and called her to sleep in the bath. And when I awoke, I was alone, this bed had flown. So I lit a fire, isn't it good, Norwegian wood.
Well, now you've seen a decent rendition on how those two guitar parts fit so lovingly together, just like John and George did countless times. I suggest you download the charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com, learn both parts, play along with my sound alike, and you'll get it just like the Beatles. And I really appreciate your consideration to support my work that way. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video, because that helps the algorithm show my work to more people who may enjoy it. So like I always say, have fun playing this great old song, because that's what playing the guitar should be all about. And until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.